You're watching the ramming of a Japanese whaling ship by a combative conservation group led by American Paul Watson. He's trying to stop the transfer of a minke whale the Japanese just killed to the factory ship that will cut it up. Commercial whaling is banned by international agreements, but the Japanese and a few others are still launching harpoons. These scenes were shot for the Animal Planet series Whale Wars. And these scenes were shot by the whalers themselves, who say this is evidence that Watson is nothing more than a pirate. The Japanese obtained an international arrest warrant for him, so for the last year, this conservationist, or pirate, has lived on the world's oceans, unable to set foot on land. We are headed out to international waters where Watson lives on a ship beyond the reach of the law. But before he would meet with us, we had to agree that we wouldn't say where we are or even what ocean this is. Suffice to say, it involves several airplanes and many thousands of miles. Toward the end of that journey, Watson sent this trimaran to pick us up. This boat once set the speed record for circumnavigating the Earth. He named it for an actress who is a supporter, but to us it looked more Darth Vader than Bridget Bardot. Watson came to the Bardot from a floating hideout that we agreed not to show. He is one of the founders of Greenpeace, and now at the age of 62, he calls his new armada Sea Shepherd.
Paul, thanks for seeing us.
Oh, thank you. The simple fact is this: if the oceans die, we die. Sea Shepherd was set up to uphold those international laws and regulations protecting our oceans.
But why is that your job? Countries enforce laws. Why are you doing this?
Well, I just do not see the political will on the part of these governments to do anything.
But that makes you a vigilante. You're deciding on your own that you're going to enforce these laws. What gives you the right?
Because I want to survive, and I want to make sure that my children survive, and I'm not going to sit back and watch the oceans be destroyed because governments don't have the political or economic will to uphold these laws.
The whaling ban makes an exception for research, and the Japanese proclaimed that exception in tall letters on their ships. They set their own quotas, about 900 minkies, 50 fin whales, and 50 humpbacks. These are minkies, and even though the Japanese reserve the right to kill humpbacks, they haven't, according to the International Whaling Commission.
There is no scientific basis for what they're doing. We have seen them take a whale onto the factory vessel. There's no scientists there. There's nobody measuring anything. They simply cut them up, send them down below, and package them. So this is not science. This is bogus.
The International Court of Justice in The Hague will be deciding whether Japan's whaling is really for research or should be stopped. But while the whaling continues, Sea Shepherd fouls the Japanese plan with rope to catch their propellers. The Japanese fire back with water and ear-splitting sirens. Sea Shepherd throws stink bombs. The Japanese return concussion grenades. You called Sea Shepherd, which you founded, the most aggressive, no-nonsense conservation organization in the world. And you said, quote, "I don't believe in protests. That is far too submissive." What do you mean?
Well, protesting is sort of like, please, please, please don't do that, but they'll do it anyway. They just ignore you. So protest is submissive. We're not a protest organization. We're an interventionist organization. We intervene against illegal activities.
But this is what happened recently when Sea Shepherd tried to intervene. The whaler kept coming and sheared the bow off of Watson's $2 million boat, which eventually sank. No one was seriously hurt. Watson claims he has cut the Japanese catch because of these tactics, the same tactics that the Japanese say are illegal. You're in sort of a prison, aren't you?
Well, it's a pretty nice prison. It's, you know, I don't mind being on the ocean. It's a beautiful place, and certainly the citizens out here tend to be more peaceful.
But when people call your tactics violent, how do you respond to that? I mean, you look at this footage, it looks violent, it's hostile.
The Japanese are committing violence against living whales. We are not hurting anybody, so we're not violent.
This battle is fought in the last place where humpback whales are considered endangered by the international agency that decides these things. These South Pacific humpbacks feed here in the Antarctic summer, then journey north 4,000 miles to mate. This is where much of the research is done, around a speck on the map called Rarotonga. This volcanic island, part of the Cook Islands, is just 21 miles around, with 10,000 residents and not a single traffic light. Here, we found the human who may know humpbacks best.
He's right behind the boat. Hello, beautiful. He's putting on quite a lovely show for us. And you just have to be careful and respect their space.
They take up a lot of space.
Nan Hauser is an American marine biologist who intended to come to Rarotonga for 1 month of research. But that was 16 years ago. Now her home and her lab are on the side of the volcano, and she spends her days eye to eye with her subjects.
As you watch them, as you see these massive animals and look at them in the eye, and they're looking at you, and they've never seen what a human looks like before, and so they're curious about you, and you're curious about them.
Humpbacks are acrobats. Their fins are like wings, up to 20 feet long. They cooperate with each other to hunt for the krill and small fish that they eat by the tons. We've learned a lot about them in recent years. And some of what we know is because Nan Hauser risked her life to discover it. She's part of an international mission to harpoon humpbacks with small satellite transmitters. That rubber boat feels tiny next to an animal 50 feet long that weighs 79,000 pounds.
You got it?
Didn't get him.
You sure?
It's in.
It's in. Okay, watch out. It's very, very dangerous. All they have to do is pick up their tail and give you a good whack, and all your bones are broken and your organs are ruptured. So it's very scary, very, very scary. My heart is pounding.
When they surface to breathe, the transmitter stuck in their blubber sends a signal. Now we know that humpbacks can travel 10,000 miles a year. That's the world record for a mammal. 80% of their lives are spent submerged, and this is where Nan Hauser has made some of her most beautiful discoveries.
Here we see a male standing on his head upside down singing a song. They are motionless, and the song bellows out.
The humpback song can be 20 minutes long, and they repeat the same song again and again. Males in one region will all sing the same song the same way, but next year they'll return with a new composition. So this is air somehow moving around inside their heads that's making this sound.
Correct.
Even though they don't have vocal cords.
Correct. It's almost, I think, like taking a balloon full of air and going...
The sound carries for miles, and Hauser believes it's all to mark their territory.
They take turns singing, perhaps to say, my lungs are bigger, I can hold my breath longer, I can sing a more beautiful song, I'm the dominant male, I'm going to sing here, so you move away and sing somewhere else.
Can you do some of the sounds that you've heard?
I think the most common whale sound is kind of the... But we get everything. We've even had the laughing monkey. Creaky doors.
What are they saying?
We don't know.
So you speak whale, but you don't understand it?
Absolutely.
But she does understand a calf's jaw-clapping anger. Hauser captured it when a mother went off to mate and left this calf behind.
He does a small jaw clap right here.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, now I know it means I'm upset and I'm going to have a little bit of a temper tantrum. You can see him, hear it?
He's saying, pay attention to me.
Exactly.
Humpbacks give birth to one calf a year, so their comeback has been slow but steady. Before the whaling ban, there were maybe 5,000 left in the world, but now it's estimated there are 80,000. The biggest threats to them these days are collisions with ships and the kind of miles-long fishing line that wrapped up this whale.
They get wrapped up, and then they get held underwater, and they need to come up for air. Otherwise, they suffer and they drown.
Hauser hopes that the satellite tags will mark migration routes so that man can steer clear. History may show that we stopped the global slaughter just in the nick of time. Humpbacks are now found in every ocean, their numbers back to about 30% of what they had been before whaling. It's a sign that a fascinating and beautiful part of the planet is on the mend.
ואנחנו נשארים במים, אולי לא עם לוויתנים, אלא